Every year in January, there's this powerful moment when people pause to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but it's so much more than just a day off, right?
Absolutely. It's actually called a National Day of Service for a reason. I love how it's not just about looking back, but about moving forward and asking, what can we do for our communities today?
That's what sets MLK Day apart, I think. There's this call to action, almost a challenge to get involved, whether that means volunteering or just helping out a neighbor.
It's really unique among American holidays. Most of them are more about celebration or remembrance, but this one is about rolling up your sleeves and making a difference. That's such a powerful shift.
And actually, the story of how the holiday started is pretty interesting too. Let's talk about that for a sec.
The first official Martin Luther King Jr. Day didn't happen until 1986, which feels surprisingly recent when you think about it.
Yeah, considering how influential Dr. King was, it took a long time to recognize his legacy at the national level. And it's still the only federal holiday named after an African-American leader.
That's huge when you put it in perspective. Then, in 1994, Congress went a step further and turned it into a National Day of Service. I really like the phrase, a day on, not a day off. It flips the script on what a holiday can be.
It absolutely does. That phrase has always stuck with me. It's like a rallying cry for anyone who wants to make a difference, even if it's just for a day.
And speaking of making a difference, Dr. King's own methods were about action too. His approach to change was just as hands-on.
The thing that always amazes me is how Dr. King advocated for courage and unity through nonviolent resistance. He really stood by the belief that peaceful action can topple injustice.
That's so true. The marches, the sit-ins, the speeches, every one of those actions demanded so much bravery. And it wasn't just about making noise, it was about changing the national conversation on inequality.
And it worked. Those demonstrations brought attention to issues that had been ignored or swept under the rug for decades. They actually shifted public opinion and influenced policy.
What's wild is how those same strategies have inspired so many movements since. People still study how Dr. King organized and built momentum, but his personal journey is just as fascinating.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember how faith and family shaped who he became.
Dr. King was actually following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather when he became a Baptist minister. Faith clearly played a huge role in how he saw the world and what he felt called to do.
And the fact that he became the youngest person to receive the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964 at just 35 years old shows how much impact he had, even at such a young age.
But it's also heartbreaking because only 4 years later, his life was cut short in Memphis. He was there fighting for the rights of sanitation workers, just another example of how deeply he cared about everyday people.
Yeah, it's sobering to think about what more he could have accomplished. But even after his death, his legacy keeps growing, especially through how people honor him each year.
That's part of why MLK Day feels so personal for a lot of folks. He wasn't just a leader, but a husband, a father, a community member. His message was all about humanity.
I think about how Dr. King said education is about character, not just intelligence. That's a message that feels even more relevant today.
Absolutely, because having knowledge isn't enough if we're not using it to make things better or to stand up for others. That's why the Day of Service matters. It invites everyone to put values into action.
And anyone can participate, whether it's volunteering, mentoring, or even just being kind to someone who needs it. It's about building a community, not just commemorating history.
I love that idea, honoring Dr. King by living out his message. If each of us does something small, it adds up to real change. That's the spirit behind a day on, not a day off.
So maybe the best way to remember Dr. King is to actually get involved, this MLK Day, whatever that looks like for you. That's where his dream keeps growing.